We're already on edge in newsrooms across America, but Thursday's deadly attack at the Capitol Gazette in Anapolis, Maryland, makes that anxiety much more real. The accused shooter, Jared Ramos, had nursed a grudge against the Capitol Gazette since 2011, when it reported on his conviction for harassing a former high school classmate. Ramos had sworn a legal oath in court documents to kill Capitol reporter Eric Hartley. But what triggered him to act in 2018? One right-wing troll recently told a reporter, "I can't wait for the vigilante squads to start gunning journalists down on sight." And here's NRA spokeswoman Dana Loesch.
I have so many things that I hate about mainstream media. There is no way we are going to fit it in the allotted time today. They are the rat bastards of the earth. They are the boil on the backside of American politics. I have no other nice way to put it.
Thank you. Of course, there's President Trump, too. Here he is just a week ago in South Carolina.
They interviewed 10 women on one of the opposing networks, you know, the enemy of the people, I call them.
Could any of these remarks, though, be considered an incitement to violence? Could the accused shooter use such comments as part of his legal defense? Our legal expert, Joy Jackson, joins me now with more, along with Robert Bianchi, former head prosecutor in Morris County, New Jersey. Welcome to both of you. Joey, I will start with you, Mr. Criminal Defense Attorney. Would you use these comments as a defense for this guy?
You know, I would not, and here's why, and good morning to you, Carol, and good afternoon to you, Mr. Bianchi. Look, here's the issue. The issue is that it serves as no defense whatsoever. Now, to be clear, I think people who are in high positions of authority have to be responsible, right? You cannot use inflammatory rhetoric like this because it incites the masses. It facilitates things, right? It causes people who you're already maybe a little over the edge, perhaps, to push them a little bit more. So I think we need to be responsible with rhetoric, and any of us speaking, as I'm speaking to you today, have to be responsible. Having said that, how many times have we heard, if someone asks you to jump across a bridge, would you do that? Individuals have to be responsible for their own behavior, for what they do and for what they don't do. And we know here that it was more than the president and the head of the NRA pushing him. It was his individual grievance with the media, with this particular paper, with his life, with stalking an ex-girlfriend. And so I would not employ a defense like this with any success in representing him.
So Robert, could his attorney say he was, I don't know, criminally insane, and that this type of rhetoric, you know, aggravated him because he wasn't healthy mentally?
Well, as a former prosecutor who tried multiple murder cases, I would say virtually every single one of them, the person was angered and agitated to the point where they did something that was as horrific as taking another life. But that's not the legal standard. The legal standard is that they did not know or appreciate the wrongfulness of their conduct. And as Triple J, Joey Jackson, just said, the problem here is that these tweets and these writings by him are actually evidence of his motive, his calm deliberation over many years to execute this plan. So I don't see those being helpful at all. In fact, the prosecution will be using them to establish motive in the case. But it is true, Carol, that this rhetoric is not good because it activates people who are on those fringes that are problematic personalities and makes them feel that they're justified in doing these things. But you can't blame the rhetoric on the actions of this man, who for years has demonstrated an animus.
I'm going to continue to play devil's advocate because that's my job. So, Joy, we always hear that that would-be terrorists are inspired by Al-Qaeda, that Al-Qaeda's rhetoric, and even a magazine that this organization puts out, inspires people to violent acts. So why wouldn't this guy be inspired by violent rhetoric coming from other places?
You know, Carol, it's a great point, and he very well could be inspired by it. That's a different question from whether you can employ it successfully as a defense. I mean, people, again, it starts at the top. The president talked about the press being enemies of the people. The NRA spokesperson saying, "Rat, you know what? You finished the blank. I don't want to say that." The fact of the matter is that someone could be agitated, someone could be pushed, someone could be facilitated to do something, but at the end of the day, it's about your individual conduct. And to start, you know, I couldn't even imagine parading myself in front of a jury and saying, ladies and gentlemen, envision the President of the United States calling the press the enemy of the people. My client clearly, right, was affected by that, so much so that he shot 5 innocent people. Nonsense. They would tell me to get out the room and convict them immediately. The only hope he has, well, we know Maryland is not a death penalty state. The reality is he'll spend the rest of his life in jail without parole, but if there were a death penalty state, you could mitigate to try to not get him death. But the fact is to blame this and say that's what caused him to kill those 5 beautiful, innocent victims, I think is hogwash.
Yeah, because he's violent for a long time, and I guess there's video of the entire horrible incident going down, Robert.
Yeah, and you know, what I found compelling is that the attorney that was representing this woman that originally was a harassment case, he said himself, and for a lawyer, this is really quite an extraordinary statement because we deal with mentally challenged people all the time, that he was looking out his window for years worried about his own safety and the safety of his family. The police were concerned about it. They probably should have taken more action than what they did, in my opinion, respectfully. I don't want to second guess it. And also, the Gazette people were so afraid of the guy, they didn't want to agitate him anymore. So this guy was really a violent person who was on the radar. And I agree with Joey. The rhetoric may have been an impetus, but you can't blame the rhetoric. This is the man itself, himself. It's evil incarnate. The guy was a ticking time bomb waiting to go off, Carol.
All right, I have to leave it there. Joey Jackson, Robert Bianchi, many thanks.